Welcome to The Explainer. I am honestly so thrilled you're here today because we are going to fundamentally shift how you think about money. We're digging deep into some seriously eye-opening source material to uncover the profound psychological differences between poor financial habits and wealthy decision-making processes. If you've ever felt like you're doing absolutely everything right, but you're just not getting ahead, you're in exactly the right place. Get ready to rethink pretty much everything you thought you knew about building wealth.
Okay, let's dive into this. If you quadrupled your income tomorrow, would you actually be any wealthier? It's a huge question, right? And it totally challenges this massive assumption we all carry around. We tend to think that just getting a bigger paycheck is going to magically solve all our financial problems. We tell ourselves, hey, if I just made more money, I'd finally be rich. But what if I told you that the psychology of wealth dictates that a bump in income without a fundamental change in your mindset usually leaves you exactly where you started?
Section 1. The Paycheck to Paycheck Trap.
To see exactly why this happens, our source material sets up this brilliant comparison to show how poor financial psychology scales up right along with your paycheck. Take a look at this breakdown. On one side, we have Mr. Jalil. He's a hardworking day laborer earning about 700 taka a day, which brings his monthly income to roughly 21,000 taka. He's got basic rent, food, and school fees for his kids. Literally every single taka is accounted for. Now, look at the other side. Here's Mr. Rahim, a well-paid professional pulling in 90,000 taka a month. I mean, that's more than 4 times what Mr. Jalil makes. But check out what happens. Rahim's rent is way higher. His food budget doubled, his kids' schooling costs 5 times as much, and his miscellaneous expenses, eating out, commuting, buying fancy clothes, they just ballooned to 30,000 taka. Because Rahim psychologically adjusted his lifestyle to meet society's expectations of what a successful professional should look like, he completely exhausts his much larger income. Which brings us to a massive, glaring zero. Despite that huge income gap, both of these guys have exactly 0 taka left over at the end of the month. The source points out that cutting expenses is practically impossible for both of them at this point. Jalil just doesn't have the wiggle room, and Rahim is completely locked into a lifestyle his family now expects. So what does this all mean? It means the psychological focus has to shift entirely away from just scraping by and move 100% toward actively growing your income. Section 2. Unlearning toxic financial norms. To actually grow your income, you've got to clear out the junk advice. Building real wealth requires a major unlearning phase. Specifically, it means learning to completely tune out the intense pressure of social competition. Society often teaches the very things that keep people poor. I absolutely love this quote from our source because it hits so incredibly hard. Think about the people in your life who are always super quick to offer you financial or lifestyle advice. A lot of them have stayed poor themselves. Why on earth would you take directions to a destination from someone who has literally never been there? We're so conditioned to follow the crowd. But guys, the crowd is broke. And this brilliantly illustrates the danger of that social conditioning. The source uses this wild example of blowing millions on a wedding just to keep up appearances. Imagine a local businessman spends 2 million talk on his daughter's wedding. Society instantly whispers in your ear, well, if he spent 2 million, you need to spend 2.5 million on your family's wedding to save face. But what society completely ignores is the hidden math. That businessman might be bringing in 2 million taka every single month. He's just adjusting his spending to match a massive sustainable cash flow. If you don't have that kind of income, participating in this unhealthy social competition is just a toxic norm. It's going to push you straight into debt. And this kind of toxicity, it is especially dangerous for young earners. Society aggressively pushes this myth that your early 20s, ages 20 to 25, are strictly for fun, hanging out, going to movies, and flirting. They tell you, hey, worrying about serious money is for your late 20s or 30s. Relax. But the wealthy reality is the exact opposite. Those years are actually the absolute best time to start building your financial foundation. People who actually succeed in life don't follow the crowd. They actively seek out mentors with real insight. And guess what? Sometimes the advice from successful people sounds incredibly strict, difficult, or just plain boring. But that boring advice is literally the blueprint for financial freedom.
Section 3. Rewiring your inner focus.
So, how do we break these bad habits and step out of these comfortable, yet super destructive patterns? We have to utilize the brain through deep reflection. You see, earning just enough to manage your family, say 30,000 taka a month, it creates this highly dangerous psychological comfort zone. Your brain literally tells you, hey, I can manage right now, why take on more stress? The source notes that a staggering 80% of people get stuck right here. They get trapped in comfortable satisfaction, they stop pushing, and ultimately, they stop growing. And because they stop pushing, they stop using their absolute most valuable asset, their mind. Most of us walk around all day thinking we're operating at maximum mental capacity. But the reality? We leave about 60% of our cognitive potential completely unused on the table. Breaking out of your financial comfort zone means you have to access that unused capacity. You have to start using your brain at the absolute highest level. So the crucial point is implementing a daily system to actually trigger this high-level cognitive rewiring. The source recommends a seriously powerful nighttime reflection exercise. Try this. 1 hour before bed, switch off your phone entirely. Lie in a dark, quiet room. Your brain naturally recognizes it's bedtime, which naturally blocks out all those buzzing external distractions. In this quiet space, you review your day. You honestly, and without any ego, analyze your mistakes. You ask yourself, did I actually move closer to my 6-month goals today? What exact specific steps do I need to take tomorrow? This late-night reflection provides a special kind of honest clarity that daytime thinking rarely allows. But listen, reflection at night alone isn't going to fix everything. You also have to upgrade what you feed your brain during the day. You need an upgraded mental diet. This means setting realistic, motivating goals that pull you out of complacency. For example, aiming to own a flat instead of daydreaming about a flashy sports car. It means swapping out cheap entertainment for high-value inputs. Instead of mindlessly scrolling through social media for hours, pick up success-oriented books, titles like Rich Dad, Poor Dad or The Richest Man in Babylon. Start watching educational or business-related films. If you fill your life with these better alternatives, your brain stops wasting energy on cheap dopamine hits and starts focusing on real, tangible targets. Section 4, the psychology of observation. Now, what's really interesting about this is that once you've rewired your internal focus, it completely flips how you view the external world. Wealthy people observe the world entirely differently than those trapped in poor financial habits. Think about it like an observation iceberg. When people with poor financial habits look at the wealthy, they literally only see the tip of the iceberg, the visible stuff. The expensive cars, the massive houses, the fancy phones. They follow wealthy people on social media just to gawk at these toys. But doing that is a massive mistake. Wealthy decision-making actually focuses on the invisible part of the iceberg beneath the surface. Real financial education comes from observing their inner workings, their daily habits, their business systems, and the really tough financial choices that actually enable them to buy those toys in the first place. And this mindset of deep observation, it should apply everywhere you go. The source gives a truly fantastic example. Imagine you're on vacation in Cox's Bazar. Most people, they just see the beach, right? But if you are actively training your brain for wealth, you observe the kids selling balloons, you watch the vendors selling chocolates or seashells, you spend 10 or 15 minutes really analyzing their small operations, asking yourself, how could this be more professional? How could they double their sales? By training your brain to spot business opportunities literally everywhere, on a bus, at the local market, even on vacation, you rapidly build your entrepreneurial instincts. Section 5, moving into action. Let's move to and see how this builds into actionable steps. Because observation is powerful, for sure, but it must eventually translate into real-world momentum. The ultimate goal of unlearning toxic habits and rewiring your focus is to ensure you actually have savings at the end of the month. The source suggests taking those hard-earned savings and investing them into small, local ventures. For example, if a trusted friend is opening up a fast food stall, you might contribute 30% of the capital in exchange for a 30% share in the business. By doing this multiple times, your wealth actually begins to grow completely independent of your daily labor. The absolute key here is applying your new observation skills to make sure you're investing in the right people. You want folks who truly understand their craft and have the hustle to succeed. We have covered a ton of ground in this explainer today, from the hidden traps of social expectation to the power of late-night reflection, all the way to the mechanics of small-scale investing. But before we wrap up, I really want you to challenge yourself with one final thought. Ask yourself, are you confusing comfort with success? Just because you can pay your bills right now does not mean you are building a wealthy future. Don't settle back into the paycheck-to-paycheck cycle. Take these psychological tools, step out of that dangerous 80% comfort zone, and start actively designing the financial reality you absolutely deserve.